excuse me, Elite Eight this past weekend, as well as the NBA news, including playoff seeding and Kristaps Porzingis in the news for alleged rape and so much more.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another fine edition of Debate Amongst Friends, live on YouTube, Facebook, and shout out to those guys out there in Periscope. I'm the Professor John Gotti, and welcoming back my advocate, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast champion, because when you make a mistake, you do it live! It's Doc! Don't you be calling me Hulkster Lesnar! How you doing tonight, sir?
I will be doing better. I mean, I don't even know what happened just now. You know what? I'm going to chalk it up to me missing last week, being injured, so on and so forth, etc., etc.
Well, I
How are you doing?
definitely am glad that you returned to the land of the living, sir. We definitely missed you. The people out there, they missed you too. And it wasn't the same without you, brother.
Hey, well, I'm glad you got a chance to hold it down. But I am back and so ready to debate, discuss, and really go over these sport topics. I mean, so many things happened over the last week. We're not going to cover them all, of course, but we had some highlights that we want to go over.
Yeah,
So let's
man.
get right to it.
Let's just do it, man. Let's just do it. The NCAA
NC,
March
okay.
Madness men's bracket has lost its ever loving mind. For
Mm-hmm.
those out there in the great state of North Carolina, they shed tears. Tears, I
Mm,
say,
mm.
because the beast has been slain.
You know something? I don't agree with that.
Or
I'm going to say
the
this.
beast slain the beast. Are we gonna go
Yeah,
Vince McMahon here? I mean,
yeah, I think that's more of it because I mean we're talking about a number one versus a number two team in this tournament. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Duke, but Michigan State is no slouch of a team. I was more surprised that Gonzaga lost,
I was very surprised that Gonzaga lost because that was the team that I had winning. So
and then
yeah,
I was even more surprised when Kentucky lost.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not that surprised.
Now,
Now, here's
if
the thing with
her,
Kentucky. Like, they're a great team, a great program. I mean, Calipari got himself a heck of a contract,
oh yeah, he did. I
but
don't even understand that. I didn't understand how that works, but
but I mean, when was the last time Kentucky was in the national championship game?
you want to know something? My brother asked me the same exact question, and I had to look it up, and apparently he's only won one championship.
Exactly. So let's
That's so
not sit
funny.
here and act like it is a blue blood program. It gets a lot of hype. Bro. But let's not
Absolutely.
sit here and act like they're the New York Yankees of college basketball because those are the Dukies right there.
That's true. I'm glad you recognize that.
Why would I not?
But
Why would you say
I
that?
mean, because
Why
some
would you
people don't
say
recognize
that?
it. Because some people don't recognize it.
I'm not
I
some
mean,
people though. I'm the Professor John Gotti, the data analyzing ninja.
you would never say that about my rocket, so I mean, I don't really understand.
I feel like you're trying to put me in a corner right there.
I'm just saying. I mean, but ultimately, I was more shocked with. those games. I mean the best game out of the Elite Eight to me was Virginia versus Purdue.
Yes.
Um, I really enjoyed the Duke Michigan State game, but that
Wait,
Purdue
wait,
game,
before you continue, I gotta set the record straight for people out there because I know they're gonna be screaming in my ear asking me this question. Would you have been more excited about the Duke game if they won?
no, because I usually don't watch the Duke games because I'm superstitious, and I feel like they lost because I watched it. That's the way I
Oh,
feel.
the
Like I
last
feel like I just
time
turned it
Kentucky made it to the national championship game was in the 2013-2014 season, and they
I
lost.
think that was I think that's the one with No, is that Anthony Davis? No, it's not Anthony Davis one. That is the Twins when they had
The Harris
the
twins, yes. Willie
Harrison
Cauley
twins.
Stein as well, Julius Randle.
Hmm. Yeah,
I was like,
right.
what did he just say?
Because they lost. Yeah, yeah, they went back to back. I think
Yeah, the year that Anthony Davis was there, they won the national
they won.
championship. And they
Gotcha.
had
Okay.
Michael Kidd Gilchrist as well, Marquise
Hmm.
Teague, and that's
Right.
about it. Everyone else, you really don't. I mean, Terrence Jones, I guess.
Terrence Jones. Oh, you better mention Terrence Jones. Don't you be skipping Terrence Jones?
No, because after he left the Rockets, you said you completely disowned him. Do not do that.
Well, he's back now, so he's okay.
Wow, such a Rockets fan, ladies and gentlemen.
He's back. He's back, so it's okay now. But Purdue, I mean, Carson Edwards.
hmm
It's so crazy because I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't know who this kid is. I hadn't heard of him unfortunately before this day because I mean, there's so many colleges to keep up with. I don't know how anybody really keeps up with every college player in the nation.
Well,
I
and they
mean,
usually
your
keep up more or less with the
conference or
conference that they're primarily interested in. Like it's really hard to keep track of over 100 schools in one season.
right. But
Which is
this guy
why I
was
get on
lights
ESPN because they act
out.
like, oh well, I've been watching them all year. No, you haven't been watching them all year. Shut up.
No,
Stop it.
definitely not.
Stop it.
This kid was lights out though. I mean, I can't even lie. I mean,
Absolutely,
I
he was
became a fan.
absolutely incredible. A Texas kid actually, who also got a nice little salute from our very own Keedron Clark actually.
I did see that, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if he becomes a new splash, one of the Splash Brothers in the future.
Yeah, let's not keep putting people onto the Warriors like that. I mean, because then people start hating. Like, we just hope that if he decides to declare for the draft, he gets into a team and he can have future successes. How about that? How about we do that
Sure.
instead?
Or he just becomes a Rocket. I mean, if that's what you really want.
See, I knew he's gonna go there. I knew he's gonna. I knew it. I knew it. This is
I mean,
why.
he's a junior. I don't think he's declared yet, but I mean that's neither here nor there. And honestly, they really should have won the game in regulation. I was
Absolutely.
curious as to why nobody called a timeout when the power forward or center had the ball in his hand, but
hmm
that's again neither here nor there. They're out as well as the Dukies,
Yep.
which I've
Well, and
accepted.
I was telling people like about even the Gonzaga game against Purdue, and I was like, well, Gonzaga got screwed over because of the whole foot out during the shot by Mr. Edwards.
Right.
And I had a pretty lengthy discussion with the Duke about it, trying to explain to
Hmm.
them like why this is a foul. You know,
Hmm.
even though the person is trying to close out and is jumping for the ball, like as long as the shooter actually has a landing spot, then that's not a foul.
Right.
But as soon as the shooter
That's
put his feet out there like that to initiate the contact, that should automatically be an offensive foul. I felt like uh, both of the Purdue games actually, that game
hmm
and the very next one was one that they lost, uh, was ref poorly at the end of the game.
I agree. I think offensively, and I don't know if it's more offensively or if it's more defensively. And this is just not with college, this is with NBA too.
hmm
But I don't know if players are so in tune with the rules that they're learning how to bend them, or if defense is taught so poorly, which I only reason I would say the defense can't be taught poorly because Virginia does a great job of playing defense as well as
Oh,
Michigan
sorry, it
State.
wasn't Gonzaga. It was Tennessee that lost to Purdue.
I know I knew you were referring to Tennessee.
Yeah, brain
Um,
fart.
no, you're fine. We're talking about Gonzaga, Texas Tech over here, so
Yeah.
I get it. Um, but some teams play really, really good defense, and that was the one thing that I noticed with Duke, and I ultimately think this is another reason why they lost, is because between this game and the last game, their weak side defense was really, really poor, and they were giving up a lot of backside threes and cuts. Um, but I think ultimately the end of that game with Purdue in regulation, I think a timeout would have gotten them an opportunity to run at least a one last play or like a quick cut to the basket. But I mean, this is the madness. As you said, you can feel it in your body.
I'm telling people like it's real. I mean, it was so much
Uh,
so like I went to the store, I was grabbing me some eggs, some bread, got me some juice, went to the canned food aisle, got me a couple of canned goods as well too. And then all of a sudden, like I picked up a can of sliced potatoes, and that it just dropped from my hand, and people around me were just like, "Good, like, sir, what's wrong? Are you okay? Are you having a stroke?" I'm like, "No," but they're like, "Well, why are you grabbing your arm?" I'm like, "I could feel it.
the madness.
I could feel the madness,
Yeah. So
and
can we
it's
officially
taking
say
over."
that? I mean, can we officially say that brackets around the world
Oh
probably are
yeah, absolutely,
busted?
absolutely. I mean, take our brackets for example. I won by default because one of my teams made it to the final four.
Wow. And
That's
I
it.
didn't, unfortunately, I didn't even get a chance to get mine in, but
Yes.
that's neither
Okay.
here
Wait.
nor
Wait.
there.
Wait. Wait. Let's talk about this because we didn't talk about this whatsoever. We need to set the record
So
straight.
I was supposed to do it after the show on Wednesday, but I forget what happened. And then on Thursday, I was supposed to get up and do it in the morning, but
Yes.
of course I forgot. Um, and then I looked and I was like, oh yeah, let me do it real quick. And my brother actually called me. He was like, yeah, as I saw my brother put in a bracket, and I was like, yeah, I tried to do it and it didn't let me. And I was like, he was like, that's because there are games that started already. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? I thought
Yes.
it started later on
No.
Thursday, but it started at like noon, and I was like,
Yes.
yeah.
It
So
was
that
the
was my
four to
bad.
get in. That's what it was. It was the four to get in.
Yeah, that was on me. That was piss poor effort on me. I mean, I'll just say out loud that my bracket would have been busted because I would have had I would have had a few teams that definitely didn't make the Elite Eight going to at least the Final Four, and I mean, again, some of these teams you would have never expected to lose like this.
Mm. Well, I mean,
But any
that's being
predictions on
that
this?
being said, though, before we go to the predictions for the Final Four, which of course, is Saturday, so make sure you
Right.
tune into that. If not, you're probably going to be tuning into the Ring of Honor New Japan Pro Wrestling show as well too, on that very
Um,
same evening. But what game, like which team disappointed you the most? The team that had a lot of hype heading into these games, they're going to be really dangerous, because they're not Duke, because everyone kept saying Duke was going to win, and Duke, 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 Duke. Like, what team just completely disappointed?
I'm gonna say UNC, and not to troll them. That's not
You
to
are
troll
definitely,
them.
no, you are definitely trolling them.
No. That's not to troll them. But the way they went out was so rough. I mean, come on, man.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say it's probably gonna be UNC. I mean, right? It's gotta be. I mean, don't get me wrong. Auburn played great basketball,
Auburn
and
punched
they
them in
went
the
on to,
mouth.
you know, they went
and
on to,
and
you
UNC
know.
was still trying to check their molars. And by the time they found their molars, the game was over. That was that game. Like the final score does not reflect the game whatsoever.
I just wouldn't have expected them to go out like that. I think they went out like suckers.
I think they went out like They went out with a whimper, and that's not to troll those UNC fans because we
That's
got
what I'm
we
saying.
got a certain we got a certain fake beast out there with toy belts calling himself podcast champs,
You're right. You're absolutely right.
but
Absolutely
UNC
right.
went out like a discount double check.
Double check. And it was rough.
It was rough. It really was. It
Yeah,
really
like I
was. I mean,
mean,
well,
I
think
didn't.
about it like
I
this though.
really.
Iona made it a game against UNC.
They did.
When was the last time someone from the MAAC conference, which is our alma mater conference, ladies and gentlemen, just for
Mm-hmm.
reference,
Mm-hmm.
when was the last time a team from that conference made it out the first round?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
Uh,
just
I
saying.
mean, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and just looking, and maybe outside of UNC and potential trolling aside,
You just want to keep trolling them.
maybe, maybe Murray State. And that's only because of the hype of their number one scorer.
Mm,
Because
I,
they
I,
went out
I,
right.
I would
They went out
agree.
pretty rough too.
I would agree, but Florida State was playing with the chip on their shoulder. So I can't really say it was a disappointment. I felt like Murray State just ran into a wall they couldn't get over.
And
Because remember,
I get that.
their coach got all that stuff that was happening for Florida State, and that was like 2 games before they went into the tournament.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I could agree, but like I feel like that's more praising Florida State to go over from adversity than Murray State whimpering like UNC.
Again, I said UNC first. I want you to know that. I just was trying to give you a different spectrum, a different perspective, just
Hmm.
so that it didn't seem like I was
See,
hating.
I have two teams because in only one um what do we call it? One bracket, one side of the bracket
Hmm.
that we didn't have that there's only one bracket that we had someone in double digits make it to the Sweet 16.
And who's that?
Oregon. So my disappointment is on both Wisconsin and Kansas
Mm.
State.
Hmm. I can understand that. Wisconsin was. I was pretty shocked that Wisconsin was out, but I mean, it's madness.
It is
So
madness.
ultimately, it's one of those situations where I kind of accepted it,
Hmm.
but Kansas, I'm not sure. They're not the same program that they used to be,
No, not
to
not
me
not
at
at all.
least.
Not whatsoever. Actually, not
I
whatsoever.
was, if I
And for
did have
those
to
out
throw
there,
one
we'll,
more
we'll
team,
show the bracket for you right now as we're talking. Cause why
show
not?
it, because you can do that.
Because we can do that now.
Now, I will say, while you're pulling that up, if we're throwing out teams that I
Hmm.
felt disappointed by, I may be inclined. Let me see. Is this the team I'm thinking? Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just double check before I do this.
Okay, because I mean, if I had to pick another team, you're probably not gonna like it.
Pick the other team.
UCF.
You were disappointed in them?
I was disappointed in both them and Virginia Tech because they had your Dookies.
See, I wasn't
UFC
gonna go.
missed 2 chances at the basket at the end of the game, and they just couldn't do it. Like that's disappointing. But for me, not to pick on your Dookies real quick. But I
Wow.
felt like after the VT game, and I actually had this in my bracket actually too, which is kind of hilarious.
Hmm.
Um, I had Duke losing to Michigan State in the Elite Eight.
Well, I mean, again, they did squeak by a few teams. There's no question about it. And I thought once we beat UCF, I honestly thought we were at least going to go to the Final Four because, like I said, getting past Taco Fall is
Yes,
that's no easy feat.
and big
Um,
props to Taco Fall too. I mean, he's definitely gonna make an impact in the NBA. And we'll see what
oh
happens
yeah.
there. You know, people are already making comparisons. You know how much we love those.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess if I did have to choose another team, I mean, with so much hype coming in, I would say Michigan. Michigan was very, very well hyped coming out of the West. They were very, very hyped, and I remember watching a preview show, which I was
Yes.
sitting there right before my interview, right for my interview, and I should have did my bracket right then and there while I was sitting there watching that preview show, but they they were bigging up Michigan like it was nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I mean Texas Tech, don't get me wrong, is going to the Final Four, so obviously they're a good team. But Michigan was supposed to be one of the better defensive teams in this particular tournament,
Yeah.
and their slightly early exit begs to differ.
Mm, mm. I can agree with that.
I feel like
That
I
I
feel
can
like
agree with.
somebody's,
I can agree with that.
I feel like somebody's missing. That's who it is. That's my last disappointment, and then we can go to predictions.
Okay.
And that is Villanova.
Are you
Huge,
really? Really?
huge.
Because their season?
No, they're well coached.
No.
They got a good
No,
team.
they've been completely inconsistent. No, I can't agree with that, man.
Really?
I can't agree with that. They have been
Inconsistent?
crazy inconsistent. It's ridiculous.
I don't know.
It's
This must be a different year because
ridiculous.
I'm so used to Villanova going so far and
And
being,
and
you know,
and I agree. They should always go far.
they should always go far. See, now you understand why they're a
They
disappointment.
should. The problem is there was no confidence. There was no hype. Bro, for them heading
Wow.
into the tournament at all.
I was shocked still that they lost at the very moment.
No, I mean, yeah, they ranked top five in 3 pointers made during the season, but guess what? Their 3 point percentage was 134th in all of college basketball. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
And well, between 3 pointers made and 3 point percentages, they have not cracked underneath 50 in any other major statistical category.
I still think they should have been good.
No, no. I wish, but no. It's just been an up and down season for them, man. I mean,
I was still shocked.
and I understand. I do, but they lost to a bunch of teams that they should have beaten.
And that kind of stuff happens though. I mean, it's different when it comes to the madness.
Yes,
Players and
because you know what
teams
happens in the
rise
madness?
above.
You lose once, there's no second game. That's it. Game over.
I know. Oh, I know.
You can bleed blue, but guess what? If you can't bleed a dub, you ain't going nowhere.
Bleed a dub, taste a dub, anything.
Wait, what? You gonna really make me start doing that? Like,
I can't believe he did that
I want
still.
this. I want to eat W.
Oh my God. But let's go through
Maybe
some
Zion
predictions,
should have did
man.
that before the game.
Oh my God. If Zion would have ate the
Eh,
W's, that would have been
If
a
it,
ridiculous.
oh my gosh, that would be the best thing ever. Completely, hands down. Like hands down, that would be the best thing ever. Like
Last thing here before we go to predictions, I mean, I will say I think Zion did cement himself as a number one overall pick
he was
with
ready. Well,
one.
I agree. I think that he was gonna be the number one pick regardless of what was
No,
happening.
he made one post move that looked so sweet. And, a lot of people, question his game. And I know people say that they feel like RJ is going to be the better talent, so on and so forth, the better
I've
prospect.
been one.
But
I've been one to say
yeah,
that.
I think Zion keeps some of his, I think he keeps his bag pretty tight. I don't think he reaches in his bag as much
As
as he
much.
should.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think he has a whole arsenal of moves that he's just waiting to bust out on somebody, but he feels like he don't have to in college basketball. And I think that ultimately is gonna. I don't know what team he's gonna go to, but I think that's gonna make him a good person, a fun person to watch in the NBA.
absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Now, as far as these predictions go,
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull it back up so people could see who are the final four teams. We have Virginia versus Auburn. We have Texas Tech versus Michigan State.
did you pull it up? I
I
don't.
did, yes.
Okay, can the people see it?
The people can see it. They can
Okay,
see
good.
all of it.
All right, fantastic. So I'll say first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Michigan State over Texas Tech. Then I'm going to go Virginia over Auburn. And then we'll come back for a national championship prediction.
I agree with your Virginia and Auburn pick. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech. Their
Oh,
defense has been really inspiring actually.
absolutely.
With the combination of Culver and Mooney. I mean, and you keep talking about well coached teams. This is a really well coached team.
It is. It
Like
really is. They're
really well
all 40
coached.
teams are well coached, and
Absolutely.
I just
Whoa,
don't.
so wait, does
I
that
just
mean
think Izzo. This is
wait,
Izzo's
are you
year. He's been
saying
waiting a long
that
time.
are you saying are you saying what I think you just said? Are you saying that Duke wasn't well coached this
Wow. I would say that UNC wasn't well coached, but I think
year?
people would get on me about that. But no, I think I don't know. Every coach is different. You got
Yeah.
some coaches that stand up a lot, you got some coaches that yell, some coaches that have a lot of theatrics, some coaches wave their arms a lot, some kick their feet a lot. So they're all
I
different.
mean, and there's one coach who
I
throws chairs onto the floor.
Exactly. I think Izzo is gonna coach Michigan State past Texas Tech unless Duke gave them everything that they've got and they got nothing left in the tank. But I think they're gonna play inspired, being that they
I
just
think the phrase you're
beat the
looking for is
Dukies.
they gave Duke everything they had to just get past them, and now they have nothing else left in the tank.
Yeah, that's the only way they would get. That's the only way they would lose is if they gave Duke everything they had, which I don't think they did because there was so many spots where they could have really ran away with this game,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Duke
I
kept
completely agree with you.
battling back.
I mean, there's issues on both sides, for both teams in that game. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can, talk for hours about those mistakes from both sides, but
hmm
I mean,
I mean, ultimately, I should have really turned the game off,
oh,
and
absolutely.
Duke could have won. Duke could have
I
won if I would turned the game off, but that's neither here nor there.
love it.
Um, but let's move on to some NBA basketball here.
Playing some basketball.
Let's start off the court though, because this is really crazy.
All right.
The former New York Knicks, which is so weird that that's what they are associating him with, not the current Dallas Maverick player. but he's referred to primarily as the former Knicks player.
because it happened during his tenure with the Knicks.
But it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. He's a Maverick. They should just say the current Dallas Maverick, Kristaps Porzingis, while he was on the Knicks, did this. I mean, it was rough. I mean, they're talking about rape.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about he was calling her his slave,
Mm-hmm.
his black slave, and then she wanted $70,000. What the heck
Ah,
is going on?
Jay Rich is on the chat. He says Duke lost the same weekend.
No, we didn't. We lost a weekend later. Take that, Jay Ritty.
Take that for data.
1 week later. There's a difference between 16 and 8.
Wow.
I mean, I guess in theory, there's no difference, but get off my chat. Get off my trade. Oh, really?
Oh no.
Well, Jay Rich, we're talking about Kristaps now. We're not talking about Duke anymore. Goodness.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. But that's the reason why they keep referring to him as a Nick, because it's happened in New York. It happened while he was on their roster. I agree they should refer to him as a Maverick, but think about it like this though. They need all the good publicity, and we talk about the Mavericks after the situation that we've seen with that organization earlier this year.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that it's one of those things. Not that it's relevant or important, but I mean, what did you think? Do you think Kristaps potentially did this?
I think. Well, here's what I think, and this is something that you mentioned
Hmm.
off the chat. You asked, is it a possibility that this will be the catalyst to get James Dolan out of New York?
I did say that. I'm so smart.
And I said, you know what? That would be a godsend. That, as much as I don't like the situation, as much as I don't like, you know, KP allegedly doing this, because, I mean, I
Hmm.
don't know, and until, I actually hear it from a judge, I'm not going to know.
Right.
Because,
And that's the thing about
the
it. Even after the
social,
judgment,
yeah,
we still won't know.
the,
That's the
the
part that
social
stinks.
justice society of the world cannot deter me until I actually hear, confirmation from a federal freaking judge about
Right.
what happened, whether or not he is guilty, exonerated, or whatever of these charges.
Hmm.
Until we get that,
Hmm.
all this stuff right now, he did or he didn't do it, is all scuttlebutt right now. Because everything right now is still
Now,
on allegedly. But back to
go
the
ahead.
question though, I feel like if this becomes more dirty, like the story becomes more dirty, because that's just the way that the media works now, we
Right.
could potentially see the Knicks being sold off.
And it would only be that
And
way
it's not like it's the
if
Clippers, because they're the redheaded stepchild of LA basketball teams. Like we're talking
right.
about the Knicks in the Mecca. Like
Well,
it's a field day. It's an absolute
it
field day.
depends.
Like people over here acting like Zeke trying to eat, acting like James Harden just stirring it up. Like they're frothing at the mouth for someone to come up with a rumor that's going to be taken completely out of context, and it's going to lead to this. I'm
Well, it
telling you, this is something that
depends
might end up
because,
happening. I'm 80% sure that that's going to be one of the end results to this whole investigation.
well, that's what I say. It depends on if it's determined that James Dolan
Was involved.
and not even just involved, I guess, well, I guess, yeah, involved meaning that he hid the truth or,
Mm-hmm.
he tried to orchestrate so two things. So if
Two things.
he hid this from, NBA Players Association, so on and so forth. And then the second thing, which could ultimately, get him fined or potentially, like you said, out of there, is if he
No,
hid this from the Mavericks before the
if
trade.
he and they was talking about like the NBA actually put out a statement saying they would have actually rejected the trade to
Right.
Dallas, had this came to surface even sooner. So if the front office for the New York Knickerbockers are involved in any way of hiding this, then yes, there's not gonna be a fine because we already had
It could be a
Donald Sterling.
fine.
Like they don't want to turn it to the NFL and be too reactionary.
There's
Like
just no way to go
they
back
already
and
set
veto
that
the
tone
trade.
with Sterling. Like they're just gonna. Well, yeah, it's way too late for DeVito. Yeah, they're not gonna.
Yeah, it's
No,
like
no.
he's definitely gonna get fined.
Dolan?
Absolutely.
No, no, he's not gonna. No, I'm
Gotta be a
telling you.
fine.
The last thing they want to do is give him a slap on the wrist and fine him. Like if they fine him and get rid of his draft picks,
Ooh.
that's a punishment. But
It depends.
just tell him to spend like a $500,000 $1 million fine. That's nothing.
That's an interesting point though. Like, so if let's say this does come out and KP's rape allegation does turn to be criminal, and then
Mm-hmm.
he does get potentially arrested, which would make sense because he went to what Latvia? He's from Latvia, right?
Yes.
He's from- Yeah, let's say he ran to Latvia. He was in Latvia for a while, and I
Mm-hmm.
know he wasn't communicating with the Knicks at all for quite some time, and then all of a sudden he was traded after they said what they said. I wonder if this whole situation was a part of the conversation in the room, which you said something felt wrong about this whole
Mm-hmm.
trade, and I was shocked about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this played a major factor in
I
it.
was quite literally
However,
following my gut. I'm like, there's something really wrong here. Like there is a reason. Like they had this meeting and then they walked out and like an hour later the trade happened.
hmm,
Something wasn't right there. Now, had they said they were in talks to trade him, because they can't keep it under wraps. Like someone in the media
right,
knows if a trade is about to happen. Everyone was surprised about
right,
this.
it was pretty random.
So much
I
so
was
that
shocked.
the news media, the sports news media world in New York City was not only caught off guard, they were, you know, understandably upset. They call KP names, which I got on them about as well. Like,
Hmm.
well, you're sitting there talking about, he's a unicorn and you love him so much. As soon as he got traded, and the Knicks released these statements talking about how he was as a member of the locker room, now all of a sudden your story changed. Like, no,
Hmm.
stop it. Stop it.
Stop it. Knock
Stop
it
it.
off. Knock it off.
Like,
But I mean,
everything
also,
about that just rang, just triggered red flags for me. Like, challenge flag all around.
well, hopefully we get an opportunity to get some more information. I mean, there were numbers thrown out, there was money thrown around, but we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
definitely let the people know.
anything less of the Knicks being fined and losing 2 years of first round draft picks is going to cause more of a stir. And that's a Knicks fan saying that, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Well, it depends. I mean, because I would say that if any, it depends on what happens with Porzingis. If he's not like, if he goes on to play, like, and nothing happens, then I doubt there's going to be draft picks involved.
No, no,
But
no.
if he goes,
All I'm looking at right now is if this was something that because if there's a police report that's filed, like the the basketball organization that this person is playing for is going to get wind of it. We've seen this before in the past.
absolutely.
Like
I don't know if there was a
let's not
police
sit there
report
and
filed.
act like something like this. You can't brush stuff underneath the rug in New York City. It
You
doesn't
can't.
work like that.
Yeah, in a criminal system, perpetrators
Exactly.
are. Yeah.
Don't don't.
Dun, dun,
I can't
dun,
do that
dun,
because we might
dun.
get
Yeah.
blocked. But you
Oh
know what I'm
wow.
like. Come on.
So I
Like
don't know. It's interesting.
even if he's found not guilty of it, the fact that they try to keep it under wraps is going to cause the Knicks to have to suffer a penalty for it. And just getting a fine will not do.
And we're talking about something that happened, almost 2 months ago. Um,
Exactly.
and that's why it's so interesting. And and a lot of times these things come out, and you're like, why is it taking so long? But I don't think I've seen anything that. Okay, here we go. Although the accuser did not report the attack for. Oh no, this was 2 months a year ago. So this was in
Yes.
2018. So it says
So the
here, although the
statute
accuser.
in New York actually still applies.
Right. Although the accuser didn't report the attack for a year, she revealed Porzingis agreed to pay her $68,000 in hush money. After he reneged, she went to the police.
Hmm.
Mhm. Wow,
Yep.
that's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to keep we're gonna have to keep an eye on this. It says here, New York, the NYPD Special Victims Unit, dun, dun,
Haha. Irony.
has taken over the case, and at the time of this post, Porzingis has not been charged. We're gonna see.
We're gonna see.
That's
I mean,
something
so
interesting
far,
to keep.
there's still the Mavericks and Porzingis is going to be operating business as usual, but we're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to see because this is now two different charges.
Right.
Extortion and rape. Like that's really big. And now that
Yeah.
we're in four major sports in the U.S. where you know just one of those is a call for pitchforks, you're talking about two of them for one person.
Right.
You know,
You're absolutely right.
slightly above a 12-month period. Like no, there's definitely stuff that's going to be happening, a downfall effect or a downward spiral effect that's going to take place.
But don't be surprised if nothing happens because the NBA be
If
tripping.
if no, I feel like if it was David Stern, I would agree with that statement. I feel like Adam Silva would at least, and I would be happy if they don't find him, the Knicks, and only get rid of a first round draft pick. I would be fine with that.
Hmm. This is what I would say also.
But it all
I
depends
think,
on what the investigation brings back.
yeah, I think, and I'm not sure if this is something that, you want to deeper into on another show. But I don't know if it's going to be more of the rape rather than the words that were used that may cause them to act swiftly. Because I
It's
mean, you
gonna
already think about
be
it,
both.
and
The
that's the
the
thing.
the
But I
words
feel like
used
it's gonna be
is
more.
I mean the words used, I mean, not to sound callous about it, but I mean we literally just talked about Russell Westbrook,
But we're not talking about.
completely
We're not
go
talking
off
about
on
that.
fans because
We're talking about slave though, and I mean we're.
what was
I don't
do you
know.
not remember what they was? It's okay.
Like
Let's
I said,
not
I didn't know
dive
if you
deep
want to
down that
go
rabbit
into
hole
it.
because we're,
I didn't know if you
we're
want
gonna
to
be
do
talking
that.
for like 3 hours. Let's just continue
Yeah,
on.
keep an eye on it.
Let's
Keep an
move
eye on it.
on.
So the NBA playoffs are probably going to begin what next week?
Yep.
Interesting storyline, as you said so eloquently before we started the show. The major storyline, the news that the media outlet wanted us to believe deep
Hmm.
down in our hearts that the King of the Mountain Warriors were struggling so bad that they couldn't beat Little Nuggets.
I don't think they phrase it that way, but it is hilarious that you said that. Um, I'm also gonna say phrasing as well too because Like I feel like that just needed to be said. But this was the problem that I had.
Because I said
I
little
felt
nuggets.
like I felt like
I can't say little nuggets.
yeah. I felt like the media wanted so badly to get a story because between them and between another certain team that's in 10th place that's no longer in the playoffs,
Hmm.
the media needed to dig up something to talk about. And yeah, can we all admit that the Warriors were bored all season? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. But let's not sit there and act like, they're vulnerable. They're going to be limping into the playoffs. These teams in the Western Conference is going to give them uh, such a big issue. Like, let's just stop it. Let's stop it. And I blame especially ESPN. I'm putting them on blast.
Uh-oh.
Talking about, you know, in team dramas and stuff. Shut up.
Well, they do have their dramas, and I think if you
What team
recall in the
doesn't
beginning of
have
the season,
drama though?
well, their drama is different. I
Like,
think
we're
their
talking
drama is a
about,
little
oh
different.
well, every single team should be standing around, singing freaking kumbaya and everything's great kind of thing. Like every team has drama, whether you're winning, whether you're losing, whether you're trying to make it into the playoffs. Like this is professional sports. Of course,
I
there's
think
gonna be drama in the locker rooms.
everybody's drama is different, and I think that's the whole thing. I mean, their drama is real, and this
We
is gonna sound condescending, but
we
it's a little they're not condescending, but their drama is it's a little more dramatic than
how?
most. I think the Warriors, it's not so much like Steph and Clay. I think Clay would leave just to get away from the drama, honestly. Um, but I feel like the antics,
They were bored.
and
Like
that could be what the problem
it's
is.
just like when we were kids. Like we get too bored, we start doing stuff to get more attention. That's it. Like they just got bored. That's it.
I don't think I can't let that pass as an excuse because I mean, it's not like they're like 70 and whatever. I mean, the Nuggets are right there, the Rockets are right there. I mean,
But
how can
the
these teams
the
win
Warriors just
51
just
games and
clinched the
50?
the season series with the Nuggets. I mean, the
Hmm.
Rockets, as much as I know you like them so much, there's formulas that teams were playing as. And I believe Legends of Winning on YouTube put out a very interesting video showing how you could defend the Houston Rockets and defeat them because
You
those
can't.
Milwaukee Bucks did just
That was
that.
luck. That was luck. Come on. Brooke Lopez was like on fire.
You,
There
you,
was some
you,
other
you want me to
guys
say
that
what
were
that sound like,
on
sir? You want me to say what that
fire.
sound
Oh
like?
my
That sound like
God.
excuses.
I sound like a UNC
That
fan.
sounds
I
like
know.
that
It
sounds
sounds
like
like a
excuse.
UNC
You,
fan.
you
I
sound
get
just
it.
like a UNC fan, exactly.
UNC fan. I'm
Straight up
sorry.
UNC fan.
I
I'm
didn't mean
really
to do that.
surprised at you.
It's
Like,
20.
I
Listen,
can't believe
20.
you would sit there
That
and
doesn't
act
even make any
like the
sense, though.
very fan base
That
that
doesn't
you're
make any
supposed to
sense.
despise.
That doesn't make any sense because the Warriors have lost 24 games, the Nuggets have lost 26, and the Rockets have lost 28. So, I mean, every team is beatable. But people make it seem
Still,
like the Warriors are unbeatable. But
the people
we
keep
own
people
the.
keep making it look like the Warriors was fractured.
I don't. I
That
don't.
was
I
that
don't know
was
why.
that was the dialogue. It was the fact that they were fractured. They had holes in the armor. You know, the superior beast. The A plus prime meat of the NBA isn't so prime anymore. Like these were the dialogues that, of course, I didn't use the meat analogy, but like these were the dialogues that were being used.
But maybe this is a dialogue to get them to break up.
Of course, it's one of the. This is what the media does. They stir
I
the
mean,
pot.
maybe the pot needs to be stirred. I mean, aren't you
No,
tired of
that
them
pot
being
is
together?
overboiling. Like, turn down the heat. Like,
You
come
can't turn
on.
the heat
Like,
down.
look at
You
the
can't.
rice is bloody raw, man. I'm over here being
You can't.
Gordon Ramsay over here.
You can't turn down the heat. It's naturally in there. If you take out one, and you can't take out any ingredients.
Oh my
Steve, and I think
gosh.
that's the thing, because I don't think Steve Kerr can even control it anymore. That's why people are out there. I think. even one of the players on the bench, like you were talking about bored. Well, I forget who it was, but one of the players was ordering things from the hotel and putting it on the coach's freaking tab.
They're bored.
So, I mean, I'm not buying that excuse. I'm not gonna let them have it. But don't you be talking about the Rockets losing though. That is unbelievable and
There's
we're
a
not doing
formula to
that.
beat the Rockets, man. I
The
know you
fact that
don't
there's a
want to
whole
hear it.
formula,
I don't want to
the
speak it out loud
the
on the
fact that
show
there's a
out
whole
of respect
formula,
to
oh
you, but there's a
my God,
formula out there for the
it's
Rock to
ridiculous.
defeat the Rockets in the playoffs.
The fact that there's a whole formula means that we're gonna win the championship this year. Because you know
Okay,
what
so
happens?
so let's
We
let's
watch the
let's
formula
let's
and we're gonna adjust.
if anyone out there can clip that line right there and let's put April 3rd, 2019. The doc
That's right.
said
Rockets win
the Rockets will
championship.
win despite the formulas
You want to know
to
why?
defeat them.
Because the Rockets sat around, they watched the formula,
They didn't watch the
and
formula.
they're
They
gonna
didn't
change
watch
their
the
game.
formula.
They're gonna change
You
their
want me to tell
game.
you? You want me to tell you why they didn't change the game? You want me to
Why?
tell you why the formula is going to work? Because most of the other teams are playing Houston Rockets basketball. They're trying to beat the Rockets at their own game.
But they stink.
That's the point. They stink. So in order for them to actually make it actually a game, they're gonna try to play like the Rockets, but they don't have someone like Chris Paul. They don't have someone like James Harden. They don't have no one like Clint Capella. They don't have those people because they stink. Because they're destroying the Cavaliers of the world, the Knickerbockers, the Suns, who, I mean, we didn't even talk about the Suns
Why would we talk about the Suns? Why would we talk
because
about the
Devin
Suns?
Booker honestly shouldn't be playing there anymore. Let's just be honest.
He won't be playing there anymore. Probably gonna go to Brooklyn like everybody else.
He probably might end up going to Brooklyn actually. But
Him,
but
KD,
they're
Kyrie.
playing Houston Rockets basketball. If a team plays like the Rockets against the Rockets, guess what? They're going to lose. That's a formula for success for the Rockets.
So you're saying that teams are not gonna play like the Rockets?
The teams that want to beat the Rockets in the playoffs should not play like the Rockets.
Then what's the formula?
I just told you I was gonna say it. Come on.
I mean, I feel like you just said it. I mean,
No, I didn't.
so you're saying the only way to beat the
that was
Rockets
the
is
high
to,
level overview of the formula.
oh my God.
That's the
Let's
high
not even
level overview of the formula.
we shouldn't even look at the West anymore because I mean, really, it's gonna be between those top three teams. I don't care what anybody else says.
I
I
agree.
mean,
I mean,
if it
granted,
stays,
I'm still gonna put the Spurs as potential threats just because of the way that franchise had been playing.
no, I think the Nuggets would have the Spurs number
Possibly.
if it stays like this. Obviously, I think playing the Clippers would be irony and you know bittersweet for everyone. But I would rather play the Clippers than the Jazz or the Spurs or the Thunder.
And you said the same thing last year too, that you didn't
Yes,
want to play
I would
off
love to
against
play
the
the Clippers
Jazz.
first.
Yeah,
I mean, because the Clippers, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay the Clippers. I mean, I'm happy that they're in. Their 47 wins is great,
people.
because everybody did
His
count them out.
the funniest part about the Clippers where people was like they're not gonna make it to the playoffs, and then when they continue to win, the dialogue changed from oh they're not gonna make it to the playoffs to oh well they're just gonna barely get in at the 8th seed. Well, they're at number 6 right now.
They're number six.
So
They
what they have
could
to
get up
say
to
right
number
now?
five, which I would hate because I'd rather play the Clippers than the Jazz.
It's
But
possible then.
I
They're
mean,
only half a game
see what
back.
happens. We'll see what happens. But let's look on the East though. Let's not talk about the West. I mean, let's look at the East where the Bucks are just running wild on the
They
East.
clinched, I
But you want to know
believe.
two teams that I'm really happy that are in the playoffs? The Pistons and the Nets.
Yes.
I don't know what the Pistons are gonna do, but I mean, I'm happy that they're in there.
I feel like they're gonna give people a show, especially if they face off against Philly in the first round, who's the number 3 seed.
Hmm.
Like
I think
that's
it's gonna
gonna
be
be a
interesting.
fun
Hopefully,
series. Like I think a lot of the series in the East are gonna be fun opening series.
yeah. The Nets and the Raptors are usually pretty fun.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously you're gonna add in
And it's better than the
Kawhi, so it's
Nets
gonna be a
versus
little
the Hawks all
interesting.
those years ago because those were boring.
Which one is that?
The Nets versus the Hawks back in the day. Well, not back in the day, but like a few years back.
Yeah, you're right. Those were terrible. But this right here, this is gonna be sweet.
Yeah,
I'm surprised the
especially that
Magic
that
were so
four
close to
five
making it.
matchup is
And
probably the
technically,
most
I
intriguing.
mean, they still could theoretically make it
Hmm. Yeah.
if the Heat lose out and they win.
Yep.
I don't even know who's on the Magic though. Honestly, they would get swept. It would be a bloodbath. It would be a magic show, a vanishing act.
A magic show of vanishing act. I love it. They have
Um,
Nikola Vujacic, Terrence Ross, who they acquired from the
the Raptors.
Raptors. Uh, Jarian Grant. They have
Hmm.
Timothy Mozgov.
Mm.
Yeah. DJ
Wow.
Augustine, Evan. Yeah, I was laughing about the Mozgov one. Evan
Yeah.
Fournier, who's actually a really good guard. That people I really underappreciate because he plays for a really bad team. They
And I got
have
Aaron
Markel Fultz,
Gordon.
who hasn't played there, and they have Aaron Gordon. You're right.
Sounds like a bunch of bums.
I mean, it's still the East.
True.
They also have Michael
That's
Carter
true.
Williams too.
That's true. But I think, I mean, ultimately,
And I believe they actually just signed Michael Carter Williams too.
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
Who,
they actually signed him today.
was a Rocket. Now is not a Rocket. Sucks to be him.
Mm,
I
mm,
think the playoff narrative in the East is who can beat the Bucks and the Raptors, and in the West, who can beat the
the
Warriors.
Warriors. Yep.
Really, you know, and like you said, the Nuggets are there. People are sleeping on them. I wouldn't sleep on the Pacers even without, their top player. I still think
I
that they
wouldn't
can
sleep on
be
them
tough,
whatsoever.
but the top four is going to
They're
be
still in the top. They
interesting to
still. Well,
watch.
I mean, they fell from 3 to 5, but like that could still change.
It can, I mean, it's still pretty open.
But I will say this, and this is one thing that I'm really happy about. The Atlantic Division is looking so strong this year,
Hmm.
minus my pathetic Knickerbockers.
Well, they're going for
I know,
Zion or
I know,
RJ.
I know, I know.
Hopefully, they could choose somebody else.
Ugh,
Could you imagine if they chose somebody else?
yeah, yeah. I'm already thinking about
Or,
that right now.
or if your penalty comes true, they won't get anyone.
Nope. Which is
That would
why
be
they're
rough.
hoping, they're pleading, they're praying. Like, hey, this is karma for them.
It's true. That was pretty. That's pretty. That's down low, dirty, and that. I mean, it sounds like New York subway, but I mean,
Oh, let's
they
not do
shouldn't have
that.
did
We
that.
won't be able to walk around New York City if we start, trashing the subway systems.
Yeah. But I think with that low blow, that actually should take us to end
Oh.
game.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're finally at our end game where we provide our final thoughts, and each week we provide you with thoughts to have you thinking for the rest of your week. But as always, we're gonna start off with the doc. Doc, what you got this week?
A few, I have a few. So after a great game versus the Dukies, head coach Buzz Williams is actually
Mm-hmm.
moving on from Virginia Tech and taking the Texas A&M job, which should be interesting. Virginia Tech's defense was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, and I think he's going to make it really interesting next year. We had a few declarations for the NBA draft as Ja Morant, who I've
Mm-hmm.
aforementioned before, is headed to the NBA, as well as UNC's Kobe White headed to the draft. And most of these players, I think we knew were going to be one and dones.
Yes.
And honestly, I am hoping that not only do NCAA players get paid soon, but I'm hoping that they make the rule that they would have to at least be sophomores before going to the NBA. I think that would make college basketball funner, and that would make the NBA a little more, I guess, prepared. Like get them ready for the grind, like get their bodies ready, get their minds ready, and build the anticipation. Let's see. This next one here, the Washington Wizards have fired their president, Ernie Grunfeld, after 16 seasons in charge of the team. The Wizards announced his dismissal with 4 games left in the season,
Yeah.
which is it's just interesting because they're usually in the playoffs, but this particular year they're not. They got kind of stuck between rebuild, reset. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. They they should have tanked if they were gonna do this, but they didn't. So now Grunfield is out. My last actually two more final thoughts. So that I don't mess this name up, I'm gonna do them back to back.
Uh-oh.
Russell Westbrook
Mm-hmm.
completed his 2020 game, 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, even though statistically here in Debate Amongst Friends, we do not award Russell Westbrook with any rebounds because his teammates move out of the way and allow him to get it. So we're going to say he probably got 2020 10, at least 10.
2020 10.
So he probably still got a triple double, but the 2020, even though it's there on paper, we know that even though he has a glass cleaner of a center who can grab any rebound that he chose to, he allowed Russell to do it. And on the other spectrum, my last final thought, Russell Wilson has given the Seattle Seahawks until April 15th to make him an offer that he can't refuse to stay with the Seahawks. You like how I did that? Because I would have messed it up.
Oh, I don't even know how I can follow up that, man. I mean, how do you follow up that?
Is it because I said Wilson and Westbrook?
Yes.
Oh man, sorry that happened to you.
No. Oh my
Wow.
goodness. So, one of my final thoughts,
Mm.
uh, yeah, it's gonna be really hard. Something that people were talking about today, and of course, because clickbaity things are happening.
Clickbaity.
On the subject of Giannis, Shaquille
Gianna.
O'Neal has allegedly, actually not even allegedly, he actually put this out there on Twitter. He is handing down his title as Superman to Giannis, and those pissants over at ESPN and that pissant supreme Stephen A. Blasphemous Smith got into an argument about whether or not Giannis is suited for the title, and for some reason it just catty fall down into Giannis not being a center.
Hmm.
I had nothing else to say about it. I just thought that was stupid.
It is pretty interesting. Very interesting.
Uh, Apparently, Kevin Durant has his 16th technical.
Yep.
So his next technical foul, which most likely occur
Hmm.
in the playoffs, will now lead to an automatic 1 game suspension. So of course, the news today was Kevin Durant will now cost the Warriors a championship.
Wow.
Yep. So that's the thing that's happening, folks. Once again, from your good fellas out there in ESPN, the melting pot of stupidity when it comes to sports, and Fox Sports isn't too far away because they came up with those same things. I'm just
Wow.
getting in on them, aren't I? I'm not sorry about that
Terrible.
though. I really am not. I really am not. But of course, Borderlands 3 has announced their release date, which is going to be in September 2019. We're
Nice.
all looking forward to that. Today, the remastered edition of Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre sequel came out. For those who have the game, it's free. For those who don't have the game, I believe it's about $20 each. Or you get the handsome Jack edition, I believe, for 25 20 $30 out there in on your consoles or your PCs. So make sure you check that out. And I think that's about it for me. I was just laughing at a lot of the things that I was reading and watching for the past couple of days. Just mainly because I'm really curious about what people really think about in their pre-show meetings to talk
Mm-hmm.
about during the show. Because I'm just like, is this really news? Like, I don't think
Hmm.
this is news. Like, so one thing that happened this week was Bradley Beal declared himself the second best shooting guard in the NBA behind James Harden.
But somebody also said that one of the fans also said that he sucked.
Exactly. So like, yeah, that's opinions. Okay, that's great. But let's not have a 20-minute discussion on it.
Hmm.
If you have an
This is
opinion,
true.
like kind of keep it to the PTI level. Like you have 3 minutes to talk about it, and then you move on. The other
There's a
thing that
bell.
really caught my eye, that really just made me go, you know what? I think I'm just gonna call this a day. Was Stephen Curry, the two-time MVP, three-time
Mm.
champion, came out with his top five NBA players of all time. And of course, they mentioned that guy who's chasing the ghost of Chicago.
Mm.
And it caused a quote unquote uproar.
I mean, I'm okay with his list. I'm surprised that Kareem wasn't on it, but
I
you
feel like
know,
Curry should be on
whatever.
everyone's list.
I feel like that too, but not everybody respects
Like,
Kareem like
like
that,
let,
I
let's let,
guess.
let's put this out there for those out there in the comments. If you give us a legit reason why Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should not be in anyone's top five NBA players, doesn't matter what list, like best player, most exciting player, top five NBA players of all time. Tell us why Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should not be in there. Give us that reason, because I can't
Plus,
see a reason.
yeah,
I
he's
can't
definitely
see
top
a
five
reason.
dead or alive, and that's just off one LP for me.
Like he should be the number one pick.
Hmm.
With Jordan being 1A.
Right. And I would have to go back and watch. I mean, I think the thing is, we were all pretty young, when Michael Jordan was doing his thing, and
But
it's
but
kind of
here's
like,
but here's the problem though, and you know what? I actually enjoy watching Get Up because they actually have NBA players who will speak their minds and not
hmm,
worry about the fascist corporate world.
right,
But there's a lot of older players who show respect to those who played before them. So when they come up with their list, like they come up with people that a lot of the people of the newer generation would never even contemplate putting in, like a George Gervin, for example.
right,
And back in his day, he was a beast.
yeah,
But no one's going to give him the satisfaction because people are only looking at people in the mainstream media. And case in point, one of our colleagues on the Debate Amongst Friends group out there in Facebook came up with showed a meme comparing NBA players to animes, and a lot of the
oh yeah,
animes were uh, real mainstream animes.
hmm,
And while some of them were funny and hilarious,
oh yeah,
it showed, quite the parallel of, well, yeah, it's great that you're using these animes, but is it really matching this person completely? Like, there's other animes out there, you know, that people probably never heard of before, but if you talk about it and show why it's, there's a comparison between maybe that'll influence someone to actually want to watch those things. So like we really
Mm-hmm.
try to, we as a people need to try to get away from just focusing too much on mainstream
True.
all the time. Because you leave yourself blinded to a lot of the wonders, which is one of the reasons why I enjoyed the music that I listen to now, because I expanded my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So much so. And I'm not saying I'm better than people or anything like that. I mean, heck, I get teased about it all the time. I really don't care. But like just going beyond the norm of the of what's expected of you
Mm.
is all that I'm asking. That's it. That's all I'm asking.
That's all you can do.
And that's your gaudy rant for the week.
It'll get me by until next week.
It probably will definitely not get you by. in fact, people will probably forget about this conversation completely.
Wow. Wow.
And the
Anything else you
last
got over
one,
there?
and the last thing I want to talk about too, and I know those marks out there is going to talk about this, but I mean, this is big. We talked about this being, top five, top 10, like I think number six out of the top 10 events of the year for just everything. But
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania is this weekend.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there. Uh,
WrestleMania.
yep, that's all I gotta say there. That's all I gotta say there. I'm gonna leave it to the marks to talk about that. But if you want to hear in-depth analysis about the WrestleMania card, the NXT card, the possibly New Japan Pro Wrestling Ring of Honor combined card, then check out Marking Out Amongst Friends tomorrow evening on YouTube. Just search Marking Out Amongst Friends, where Jay Ritty and Lady T will wine and dine you with facts
That's
and
right.
offer their predictions.
And comical opinion on how great they are,
While Jay Ritty continually call himself the podcasting beast, the podcasting champion, with a
which is
fake
completely false.
title. He called himself a champ with a piece of plastic. A piece of
With a piece of plastic.
plastic? Jay Ritty plus.
There's only one vampire in Brooklyn, and his
Wow.
name is Jack
Wow.
Ocean.
Wow. That's my line.
That's
That's
my
my
line.
line. Come on.
You
Come
know something funny
on.
before we get off this phone, before we get off this show, and I don't know if the people seen this. And I was so mad. I watched the movie twice, and I was so mad when I caught this little nugget the first time, and I said little nugget again.
hmm
I did say little
You
nugget
you and
again.
these nuggets thing, man. We already have a conversation about that. I'm actually kind of worried about you now.
So I was watching the movie Sorry to Bother You, which if some people don't know, it's a dark comedy, which I didn't know it was a dark comedy until I heard the director say it. But there's a part in the movie where the main character's girlfriend is doing spoken word,
hmm
and she has the people in the crowd throwing old cell phones at her, bullets, and little balloons filled with like sheep blood. But she said, I want to allow you to throw these things at me while I recite quotes from the hit movie The Last Dragon.
Oh no.
And she did the scene where the girlfriend was talking to Eddie about being from Kew Gardens and how he was getting by. And I did not catch it the
Also
first
from Kew
time.
Gardens.
Yes, and
Where are you
getting
going?
by. Exactly, yes. And she did it over and over and over. And I was like, I laughed hysterically. And I hope people
Oh
get a chance
my
to try and see it.
gosh. I can't believe
Yeah,
they did something like that. I'm so disappointed
that's
in
so
people.
funny. That's so funny. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to hold up your time
No,
here
I
with that
mean I
last.
mean you
That that
forgot you
that was
forgot to
that was
also
bonus.
talk about gaming amongst friends.
Well, we were going to talk about that in the closing. I mean, while we're doing that, I mean, definitely follow Gaming Amongst Friends. Right now, we're streaming with Saving Washington, D.C. with The Division 2 as Doc and Prof scowl and look for true sons and all those other sons of anarchy.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, we're just trying to take them one territory at a time. But we'll also be expanding on games, and of course, keep shout out to Marking Out Amongst Friends, which should be tomorrow with their WrestleMania pre-show,
And NXT
as well as
Takeover New York.
NXT. Um, we're looking forward to seeing the good Duke and the Misses there with the Duke It Out show. I'm sure they'll be back soon. I have faith in
Absolutely.
them. One
Absolutely.
day over the rainbow, we'll get to April and we're gonna fly down, and eventually we'll potentially we'll wish upon a little star that a guy named October may finally make his return, long awaited, but we'll see what happens. And always follow us on Instagram at Debate Amongst Friends. Follow myself at TL Double, as well as this guy right here, the Professor John Gotti. Definitely follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Like, share, tweet, re
Subscribe.
yeah, subscribe, double tap, flip flap, periscope,
Wham
all of
bam.
that.
Thank you, ma'am.
I mean, do it all.
Knick
And
knack paddywhack. Give a dog a bone.
yeah, basketball.
Redfish, bluefish.
That's right. That's right. Sure look
uh,
like a master to me.
Sure look like a master to me, Ninja Plus. But thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you check us out every single Wednesday evening right here on YouTube and also Facebook as well too. Always a big shout out to our Periscope viewers as well too. You know that we love you. Make sure you listen to us offline on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, and any and all podcast application on your iOS and Android devices as well. We'll see you again soon. Tonight's track is coming from Mega Ran from his Black Materia album called Sorry,
Mm,
it was
yikes.
too much hype. It was too much hype.
Way too much
Way
hype.
too much hype. But let's do it again. Live TV. Tonight's track is by Mega Ran from his Black Materia album. The title is Cry at the Planet. Make sure you check out his music as well. And also big shout outs to Croup Doll for giving us the most electrifying opening track in all of podcast history. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. I'm the Professor John Gotti.
Now, this is the podcast beast, Doc Lesnar, the one and
And
only.
and as we always say, goodbye. Mwah. And to all, a good night.
You can hear the cries of the planet. Even scientists can't understand it. We all at a disadvantage, impossible to manage. So-called experts is calling it a hoax. Now it's time for the networks to take a new approach. Greenhouse gases, natural disasters, unexplained phenomena. Time to wake up out of the mind state that we can't change things. The world is changing. How many times we gotta see the same thing? Hurricanes, earthquake, volcanic eruptions. We need more action and much less discussion and less corruption before we all go on us. Somebody inform us what the earth is trying to warn us, but we worry about the trivial. Superstars interviews, millionaires drama. People, what's gotten into you? Temperature is rising like the CO2 levels and settle. Sooner or later we'll see the true devils, but for now, listen, you can hear the cries of the planet. And you can hear the cries of the planet. Yeah. Yesterday, a young mom threw a baby in the garbage, and a bomb exploded right in the Afghani market. And who you think the target is? The same one who started this war on the people who didn't even have a part in this. Terrorism's mental now, but they ain't got a strike. Red, yellow, orange, burnt sienna, that's a lot of hype. Politicians spending millions to keep their cushy gigs. Single moms miss meals just to feed their kids in the land of opportunity. Bring your poor, tired, and your huddled masses, but just not to my community. I appreciate your help and building a house, but as soon as it's done, fam, I gotta kick you out. That don't even make no sense to me. But you can check the history. It's written that a man will die for his own iniquity. And there'll be a day that we rise, but it won't be until we open the eyes and recognize the lies. Listen, you can hear the cries of the planet. And you can hear the cries of the planet. Yeah. Protesters with picket signs, object to these wicked times. Our brothers is kicking lines up our cars, getting dimes, because they know they get in line. Working till quitting time, man, tearing up his vicious spine. You out of your freaking mind, put minutes on their phone instead of minutes in their lives. We pay the ultimate price, then ask God why. The pursuit of getting more, that's America's credo. Legal or illegal, or you less than a zero. And all the drama we got is wasting time on the clock. Came a long way since I used to rhyme on the block. Learned if you value the knowledge, then you free your mind and follow it. A lot of it is confidence, not what you can get out of it. Turn that cell live vision off and dig up a jewel. Sharpen your mind and remain your best tool at your disposal. Hopeful and cautious at the same moment, cause I know that everybody faces atonement. Now, listen, cause you can hear the cries of the planet. Close your eyes, listen. You can hear the cries of the planet. I hear it. I cry for the planet.